Today we will take up a new topic which is called describing an object. This is a topic which is a question for exam. Describing objects. The exam you will get a picture of an object which we will have to describe and write in a paragraph. So how will we do that? What is the process of describing something? That is what we will be learning in this session today. So when we describe an object, any object that we see, when we describe an object, there are various things that you can talk about that object. What are the different things that we can talk about an object? There are many different things that we can tell when we see an object. Different characteristics can be said about an object. For example, we can talk about what is the of that object. Why do we use that? So that is a major thing that we describe when we see an object. For example, if you have an object called a fan, so we first describe that it is used for cooling a room, to reduce the heat in a room. So that is the function of the object. After the function of the object, we describe the parts that it has. It may have many parts, many types of parts. If it is a computer, computer may have different parts which have different shape and functions. Then we describe the characteristics of these parts, and those characteristics can be different things. It can be the material that is made of. For example, when I talk of the fan, I will say that it is made of, the blades are made of metal. It has a motor inside which is made of copper. So that is material. You have different characteristics. One is the material with which it is made, then the shape of it, the shape of the different parts will have different shape. For example, the blade of the fan is long, whereas the central motor housing is cylindrical or round in shape. Then you can talk about okay. Okay, dimension means measurement. For example, fan. For example, when I talk about the fan,
Sir, voice cut down.
yes, I have noticed. So when I talk about the fan, I also talk about the length of the leaf, etc. When I talk about, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so thank you for those responses. I talk about the fan. I also talk about the length of, rather the blades of the fan. They are also called the leaves of the fan. So I say that the leaf of a fan is 120 centimeters. That is the length of the leaf. And the central motor has a diameter of 30 centimeters, etc. These are called the dimensions. So we talk about the dimensions. Then what do we say? Then we talk about their property. Okay, so uh, what does it? What kind of thing? Sometimes it may be fragile. Sometimes it may be hard. Okay, soft, rough, smooth. Okay, all these things are called properties of the object. These are also possible descriptions of the characteristics. Then the color, if the color is visible, so then we mention the color of the objects or the parts also. So all these five are together described as the characteristics. And then we talk about the position. For example, if I am talking about a ceiling fan, I say that the position is that it is hung from the ceiling. So I say that hung from the ceiling. So that is the position. So if I talk about the computer, then I say that it is placed on a table. These are all are related to the positions, how we describe an object. Then what can we say? Then we can talk about the connection between parts. For example, when I talk about the fan, the ceiling fan, I say that all the leaves are uh, connected towards the central motor. That is how it is connected. All the leaves are diametrically connected to the central motor. So that is how they are connected. So the connection between the parts is also a, a thing which we describe when we talk about. So we can find out uh, what we have to describe. Suppose we get a picture, that is what we are going to get. We will go for the exam, you are going to get a picture and we have to describe it. For example, what kind of picture will you get? For example, let us see, this is the kind of, this is from the text. Uh, those who may be interested, I'll tell you the page number is 102 of the text, 102 of the text. Okay, if you look at page 102, you will see this picture. You will get some such picture and we have to describe it. So how can we start? How can we begin by our description? You can begin describing by asking some questions, and the answers will to that will become the paragraph about the object. So what kind of question that we can we ask? What is the purpose of it? There are some questions here, but these are not exhaustive. Wait a second. These are, you can ask some such questions. What is it? What is the use of? So I say that it is a computer. What is it used for? It is used for uh, solving problems. Okay, what color is it? It comes in many colors. Usually it is uh, off white in color or black or brown in color. And what is it made out of? It is made out of many material. So if we ask such questions, the answers of that can build up the paragraph that we want to describe. We don't write these questions into the answer sheet. We ask these questions to ourselves so that we can write the paragraph. What is the weight? What size is it? What does it look like? How are these different parts arranged? So you can either ask such questions or you can just write down these different things that we previously discussed, like what is its function, what are the different parts, what are the characteristics of these parts, etc. What is the position, where is it placed? The monitor is placed on the table, and in front of the monitor we have the keyboard. To the keyboard, we there is also a mouse which is connected to the computer. So we can describe using these different characteristics that are mentioned here, and we have to write a paragraph. And there is an example of a paragraph written, which is in the next page, that is 103. There are two examples. You have to read the descriptions and write the names of the objects which are described. Let us see whether you can identify these objects. There are two objects described in two boxes, box 1 and 2. See whether you can identify what are these objects. This is from page 103. I want you all to read these paragraphs and try to identify what is the object being described. Yes, very good. Anjalakshmi has also even put a picture of a scissor, pair of scissors. Very good. Yes. Thanks everyone for the responses. It is a pair of scissors. This is how we describe it. It is always described in the plural, and we always say that it is a pair of scissors. അങ്ങനെയാണ് അതിനെ ഡിസ്ക്രൈബ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. Why is it described like that? Because it has no singular form. It has only a plural form. It's called a plural tandem, okay, which does not have a singular word. Type it to the chat box so that you understand it. Yes. Okay. a pair of scissors. Scissors is an example of a plural tand, or that means it has only a plural form. For example, there are many other such words. For example, a pair of trousers. Okay. So that is the first object that is described here. Let us now, can we now move on to the next object that is described? Try to identify this object, the next one. Very good. There are a lot of responses. That's right. What you have said is correct. It is called a coconut scraper. Okay, nowadays there are many different kinds of coconut scrapers, but the one that is described here is the traditional kind of coconut scraper. So, the pictures of which you can see here. So this is how we describe. The picture will be given for us. We will have to describe it in this manner as we see in this example. That is, what is it that you see? So asking questions can give you the answers to the different sentences that form the description. What is it? So it is a kitchen gadget. What are the different parts? We say that it has two parts. And what is the measurement? Okay. So there is a wooden part and an iron part. So we describe the material with which it is made and the size of these parts. Then we mention the way position, the connection between parts. We discussed all these things in the previous slide. The connection, how is it connected? The connection is one end of the iron rod is fixed to the upper front part of the wooden plank and the other end is flattened and projects like a tongue. So that is the way it is connected. And where is it placed? That is called the position of coconut scraper. That is, the wooden seat is raised about 10 centimeter when it is placed on the floor. And the nature of this material, what kind of nature does it have? Something will be soft, smooth, rough, etc. So the tongue of the coconut scraper is sharp. It has many sharp pointed edges, so that it can scrape out coconuts. So this is the property of the coconut scraper. So if you look at this description, we have actually described everything listed here. That is, we have mentioned the function. We have described the different parts. And we also mentioned that is the material. The seat is made of wood. The tongue is made of iron. The shape, the seat looks like a rectangular piece of wood, and the front part looks like a tongue. And dimensions, the length and the measurements we have mentioned, and the property also mentioned. The wooden plank is flat and smooth, whereas the tongue has many sharp edges. And color also, if we have any color which is mentioned, we can, because it's in this picture that we saw, it has many different colors. Usually it comes in brown or black colors. Then we also mentioned the position. That is, it is placed about 10 centimeters above the ground. And the connection between the parts, the wooden plank is connected in the front part to the tongue, and the tongue is slightly raised upwards. That is how they are connected. So this is the way we can describe an object. So what are the different details that are mentioned here? In the same page in the textbook, you can see this description. All these can be mentioned. That is, so in the first definition of the scissors, it is defined as a two-bladed cutting instrument. In item number 2, we had this is supposed to be filled up by us. We have to fill it up by reading the passages above. That is, we have to read this passage and we have to fill up this activity. So in definition, we will be writing here an instrument which is used to scrape coconut. That is item number 2. Then we describe the appearance of these objects. Then what else can we describe? You can describe the parts. What are the different parts? So different objects will have different parts. For example, if it is a hammer, it will have different parts. For example, let us see this image. So we can say that hammer consists of a handle and a head, or hammer is made up of a hammer. These are all structures of language which we have to learn. That is, a hammer is composed of, or hammer includes a handle and a head, etc. Whatever we say, it means the same thing. I can also say that a hammer has two parts, a handle and a head, or a hammer has two sections, or a hammer has two components. So these are the different parts that we describe. Then what do we say? We describe what is the material with which it is made. What material is it made of? For example, some things are the same object, same instrument. There will be two different objects, different material with which it is made. For example, the seat of the coconut scraper is made of wood, whereas the tongue of the coconut scraper is made of iron. So if the two different parts are made of a same object are made of two different material, we have to mention that. So that is material, making of a material. That is, for example, we say that a chair is made of wood, whereas bread is made of wheat. So describing the characteristics. So first characteristic that we described is material. Then we describe the shape of the objects or the parts. We can describe the shape or the parts. Something may be shaped like something, or shape means the figure, how it is shaped. For example, if it is a coin, it is circular in shape. I can say that it is circular in shape. In the case of the pair of scissors, it is shaped like X. That is why it is X shaped. A coin is shaped like a circle. The same sentence can be written differently. I can say that a coin is circular in shape, or just a coin is circular. All these three different examples are given so that we understand that there is no particular way of writing. You can write in any manner as long as the structure is correct. I can say the shape is of that of a circle, or I can say that a coin is shaped like a circle, or a coin is circular in shape, etc. Then what do we describe? After we describe the shape, we describe the size. We can describe the size of the object. Sometimes some objects may be very heavy, some objects may be very light without much height. So that is the description of the size. Something may be heavy, something may be light. Then we mention the measurements. Measurements means dimensions. That is measurements. So what is the length of the different parts? What is the different parts, height, depth, thickness, etc. So you say that the seat of the coconut scraper is about 25 centimeters long and 10 centimeters broad. So length of 25 centimeters, breadth of 10 centimeters. That is the dimensions of the seat of the coconut scraper. This is called measurement. Okay, then we mentioned the position. So what is the position of the pair of scissors? The pair of scissors are held in our hand. Scissors are in our hand. Depending upon the kind of coconut scraper. Usually if it is a traditional coconut scraper, it is placed on the floor. So that is called the position of the coconut scraper. Not only the coconut scraper, whatever it is, for example, some objects like fans may be hung from the ceiling. Some things may be placed inside the house. Something may be placed beside something. For example, if you have a laptop, when you describe the parts, in front of the monitor of the laptop, there will be the keyboard. Beside the keyboard. So these are all describing positions. Beside the keyboard, you will have the mouse. And on the sides of the laptop, ports. So that is the position. To fall. Again, there is some break in sound. Okay. So now you can see that we have discussed the position. Then the use. What is it used for? So it is used for scraping coconut. Or if it is, when you are mentioning a pair of scissors, it is used for uh, cutting objects. Okay, so it is used to used for doing something. So that will be, for example, if it is a fridge, it is used to keep items in fresh condition. So that is how we mention the use of an object. Here it is a coconut scraper which is used to scrape coconut. And finally, we have the color of the material. So that is the uh, characteristic which, if the color is there in the picture that you see, you can always mention the color also. So what color is it? What is the color of the object that you see? So you can say that it is black in color or brown in color, depending upon the kind of color. I hope it is clear now. Let us now see an example of it. Okay. So this is an example of a question which had earlier come for the exam. There was a picture of a kettle which was, if you look up the previous question papers, you can see one such picture was there of a kettle. And you will just have the picture in the question paper. Sometimes it, not sometimes, it will never be colored. It will be a black and white picture. So there is no scope for mentioning the color of the object. So all the other descriptions can be done. So here we have an example of how we can describe an object using the different characteristics that we discussed today. So what is it? First, there is a definition and its use. So how is it defined? It is defined as a metal container. And what is the use? It is used for boiling water. Then there is a description of the parts, the different parts of the object. What is the object? It is already mentioned here. The object is a kettle and it has four different parts. Which are the four different parts? A vessel, a lid, a spout, and a handle. What is a spout? A spout is the part of the kettle through which the liquid flows out. So it is a container for storing liquids, not only boiling water. Any liquids can be stored inside a kettle. Okay, then we have the next thing that we described is the dimensions or measurements. So the dimensions, here we have the vessel or the kettle is 7 inches high. That is the height of the vessel. Then we have the shape of the kettle, and the different parts of the kettle have different shape. So the base is flat and circular and has a diameter. So again there is a measurement which is given there. So the parts, the shape, the measurement, etc., all have been given together in these two sentences. So the base of the kettle is flat and circular and it has a diameter of 6 inches. Are you able to hear properly? Kekama? Sometimes there is a problem here. Delay. Somebody chat bad box and then do. Okay, yes, you can hear. Okay, thank you. Okay. So if you're not able to hear, please tell me. Okay, you can hear. So it has a diameter. So now the base of the kettle is described. It has a diameter of 6 inches. Diameter one, it is an end-to-end length. It's not to the measurement to the center. A measurement to the center is called the radius, but from one part of the circumference to the other part of the circumference of the circle through the center is called the diameter. So that is the diameter of 6 inches. On the top of the vessel, there is a convex lid. Convex lid means a lid which is bulging outwards. Something that is bulging inwards is called concave. When we have learned lenses, when we learn lens, we have learned of these two types of lenses, uh, convex lens and concave lenses. Convex lenses are bulging outwards, concave lenses are bulging inwards. So this is a lid which is bulging outwards. That is why it is called a convex lid. So the shape of the lid is also described here. And the material is also mentioned here. What is it made of? There is a knob in the middle which is made of plastic. So there are different material which are used to make a kettle. Some material and some parts of the kettle are made of metal. Some other parts are made of plastic. And the measurements of these different parts are also different. Then the measurement of the lid is given here. The base of the kettle is 6 inches in diameter, whereas the lid is only 5 inches in diameter. Because you can see that the kettle is actually uh, not of the same shape from the bottom to the top. As it comes to the top, it is almost in a tapered shape. Engineering tapering എന്നാണ് അതിനെ പറയാ. A tapered measure. So that is the shape of this kettle, because the base is 6 inches in diameter, whereas when you reach the top of the kettle, the diameter actually gets reduced. That's why the lid is just 5 inches in diameter. And the shape of the handle is also mentioned here. It is a curved handle, and which has a plastic at the middle part, so that you don't feel the heat. So why do we have these different material? It is to protect ourselves from the heat. If the if the liquid is very hot, we should not have to feel the heat in our hand. Therefore, it is made of plastic. And at the sides of the vessel, there is a conical spout. Spout is called an opening. What is a spout? Spout is an opening. Spout is an opening. At the top part near the lid, there is an opening that is called a spout. And it is through this spout that the water or any liquid, maybe tea, coffee, milk, any liquid, whatever we have poured inside, it will come out when we open this spout. And through this spout, you will get the liquid. Okay, so this is how we describe. So when we describe an object, we have to describe all these things. We have to describe everything. See, we have talked about the definition, have talked about the appearance, we have talked about the different parts which are there in there, and we can describe the shape, the material, the measurement, the position. A lot of things can be described. Okay, is it clear? So this is how we describe an object. Have you understood how to do it? Okay, so let us now move on to the next part. We will just do one more exercise and stop, which is there in the text itself, so that we get familiar with. For the exam, you will get just this picture like this, one picture like this. What we have to do is to write a paragraph like this. So to get a feel of how to write a paragraph, There is a paragraph here, but we don't have to write the entire paragraph. Something is already written here. We just need to fill up this paragraph using these words which are given in brackets. Some words are given in brackets. So we have to fill up this paragraph using these words. And that is the activity. We will close with this activity. Okay. Let's try to answer this. A mixer which is used for mixing food is made of dash and dash. So here we are talking about material. First, the use of that definition is given here. What is it? Definition is that it is a mixer. The definition. Then use is mentioned here. What is it used for? It is used for mixing food. Then the material with which it is made. What is the material? What are the material with which it is made? There are two different materials mentioned here. Very nice. It is very nice. Yes. It is metal and plastic. Then we mentioned the different parts which are there. 4 parts are there: a base, a stand, a motor housing. That is actually 5 parts. Motor housing കഴിഞ്ഞൊരു കോമ വേണം, beater and a bowl. അങ്ങനെ 5 parts ഉണ്ട് ഇവിടെ. Okay, these are the 5 parts. A motor housing കഴിഞ്ഞ് ഒരു കോമ വേണം. Then a beater and a bowl. A base, a stand, a motor housing, a beater and a bowl. What's a motor housing? Motor ഇരിക്കുന്ന ഭാഗം, അതിനാണ് motor housing എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. Okay, so these are the 5 parts. 4 parts അല്ല, 5 parts ആണ്. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts. So the base is dash in shape. So now we are talking about the shape. Then we come to the dimension. The base is, what is the shape? ഈ ഷേപ്പിന് എന്ത് പറയും നമ്മൾ? Yes, very nice. Thank you. So it is oval in shape. It is 12 centimeter wide and 15 centimeter long. Yes. Thank you for those responses. So here now we have the dimensions. What is dimension? Dimension is measurements. So it is 12 centimeter wide. Wide എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ width ആണ്. 15 centimeter long means it is the length. And the stand which is supported by the base is 30 centimeter in height. Very nice. Very good. Very good. Yes. The motor housing എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഈ ഭാഗമാണ്, ടോപ്പ് മോസ്റ്റ് പാർട്ട് ബിഹൈൻഡ് ദ ഹാൻഡിൽ. ആ ഹാൻഡിലിന്റെ തൊട്ട് താഴെയുള്ള ഭാഗമാണ്, അതിനെയാണ് നമ്മൾ എന്ത് പറയുന്നത്? മോട്ടോർ ഹൗസിംഗ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. സോ വൈ ഇസ് ഇറ്റ് കോൾഡ് എ മോട്ടോർ ഹൗസിംഗ്? ബിക്കോസ് ഇറ്റ് ഹൗസസ് ദ മോട്ടോർ. The motor is housed inside. That is why it is called a motor housing. So what is it? It is defined here. It is consists of a motor. It is joined to the stand at the rear. So here it is mentioned how they are connected. Connection of parts is also important when we describe an object. So the motor housing is consists of a motor is joined or connected to the stand at the rear. Rear means back. Rear means at back side neana rear. So it is connected to the rear of the mixer. The steel beater is dash and tough. That is the nature of the steel beater. Very good. So many people have responded. It is hard and tough. Very good. Hard on. So it is hard and tough. It is fitted below the motor. The glass bowl is hard but brittle. Brittle is something that can break fast. പെട്ടെന്ന് പൊട്ടാൻ സാധ്യതയുള്ളതിനെയാണ് brittle എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. The edge of the bowl is dash. The edge of the bowl is dash. Very good. It is the shape of the bowl. So it is circular. Very good. So the edge of the bowl is circular. The glass bowl can be detached from the base. the glass bowl can be detached from the base. The power of the motor is 650 watts. Nowadays, it is common in all. Wonderful. So it's very nice. Overwhelming responses. Very good. So I don't even have to ask you whether you have understood. Everybody has understood how to write describing an object. It is a good question because it fetches us 6 marks. So try not to miss this question for the exam. It will fetch us 6 marks just by describing the object that we see on the question paper. So we just need to describe these different aspects. Just remember that we have to describe only these things: definition, appearance, parts, materials, weight, size, measurement, position, use, color, etc. And then you are able to describe that object. Okay, that is it. We continue with the next topic in the next class. That we wind up for today. Thank you for joining. Have a nice afternoon. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.